Hello, everybody. Welcome to this November virtual road trip with the AGE-u-cate Training Institute. And we're going to just let everybody kind of populate in here. And it's good to have you all with us. We'll get started in just a moment. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll. So as you join the webinar, if you would please go ahead and respond to the questions that you see on your screen. That'll give us a little bit of an idea of why you maybe joined this webinar today. So we are glad to have all of you, and I'm really excited about Reading2Connect. This is a magnificent program for older adults. And I'm really excited for you to learn all about it and see how you might be able to use this program to better serve your elders living with dementia. So we've got some results coming in. I'll share the results in just a moment. Okay, so I am going to, we're going to keep on a very tight time schedule today. We want to make sure that we leave plenty of time for questions and conversation because this program, Reading2Connect, really lends itself to interaction. So I will begin by introducing myself. My name is Julie Bogus, and I'm the Vice President of Grant Initiatives at AGE-u-cate Training Institute. And our mission at AGE-u-cate is to deliver evidence-informed, high-impact caregiver education and meaningful life enrichment programs, all to improve the quality of life for older adults. And I have with me today Susan Ostrowski. She is the co-creator and president of Reading2Connect, an organization that creates age and dementia-friendly reading materials that enable staff and support partners to facilitate reading programs with elders in a variety of settings, including skilled nursing, assisted living, independent living, senior centers, memory cafes, home care, and libraries. Basically, anywhere elders are, this program is very appropriate. Susan is a speech-language pathologist with a Master's of Arts in Special Education and Remedial Reading, and she also has a certificate in clinical competency in speech pathology from the American Speech and Language Association. So on behalf of AGE-u-cate Training Institute, Susan, it's an honor to be with you today and to be your partner to introduce Reading2Connect to the universe of elder care. So we are going to begin I'm going to end the poll and share the results here. So we've asked you to do an assessment, an honest assessment of your current dementia programming. So that's awesome. We've got a couple people who they've got exceptional programming and they just want to keep that moving forward. Some are better than most. That's great. Average and below average and non-existent. So this is good information for us to know that you're here because you either just want to keep growing and you've got a great program and you want to add to it, or perhaps Reading2Connect might be a program that could really start getting your dementia care programming off the ground and moving in a direction that you would like to see. So thank you for sharing that. Again, I invite you to chat with us. I'm going to be taking a look at the chat screen as we get going here. And we're going to begin with talking about the skilled nursing environment, Susan. And we know that in the skilled nursing arena, that latest statistics that I was able to find is that approximately 48 to 49% of people who are living in skilled nursing are living with Alzheimer's disease. I suspect that number is actually a little bit higher because these statistics are from 2015 to 2016. And my experience in the skilled nursing arena with programming for people with dementia is that it's been very perplexing for skilled nursing to really get a grasp on how to best serve people living with dementia who have middle stage to long-term stage dementia. And a lot of times our programs have been focused a lot on the entertainment side of things, that if we just kind of keep them entertained, that's really the best we can do. But Reading2Connect is a very different program. So I'd like to invite you to introduce us to Reading2Connect and then talk about the skilled nursing environment and how this program really is really innovative and can take programs to the next level. So Susan, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, when you talk about residents of skilled nursing, yes, there are many people with all kinds of dementia types and etiologies, but there are also people who are maybe experiencing delirium from hospital stays or illness. So it's a temporary cognitive change. And then you could have people who are older and they have a cognitive change due to age as opposed to due to dementia. So you have a whole mix. And so what Reading2Connect has done over the last 10 years is basically figured out and looked at the reading capacities of older adults or younger people living with dementia. And what we realize is not only can we sort of bring that reading ability out, but there's so much you can do with it. There's so much they can do with it. And we realize that it actually can ripple out and affect positively their lives, staff, the care community, and the broader community. So that's what I hope you'll get a sense of at the end of this. So let's start with a little video of 2 skilled nursing residents, and they are in what we call a shared reading activity. So they have in front of them the same material, the same reading material. Now, the woman on the left has one of our books. The woman on the right has a copy of our book. She doesn't have the real book. And the reason that is a lot of these videos were done when we're piloting. So whenever we produce a book and create a book, we field test it ad nauseum to really see where is it challenging people? Is it creating a moment of joy, of course, and excitement and connection with the text, connection with themselves, and connection with the person they're with. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run this little video, and then maybe, Julie, we can just ask people to just throw in the chat any, one word they think of when their response to this video.
Good. Okay.
And I'll show a few videos during the talk, and you may want to have your hand on the volume because you'll have to probably adjust the volume. Here we go.
It's a chihuahua. Do you know what a chihuahua is? You don't know. Oh, you do know.
My aunt had one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll finish that then. The chihuahua is the smallest breed of dog. Now that's why it's this picture. Do you think we ever saw it? I don't think I've ever seen it. I wouldn't want to see this. No one is certain about the history of the Chihuahua.
So any reactions you want to throw into the chat about what are you thinking? What are you feeling when you see this? What Reading2Connect does something that most of us don't think of or do when we think about trying to create an experience for residents. So, and what I mean is we're not taking the wisdom of Maria Montessori when we think about how do we, how can we make these people's lives better? How can we capitalize, bring out their strengths and compensate for their needs. So Maria Montessori taught us all that materials need to be adapted, appropriate, and just right for the person who's going to use them. Number two, the environment has to be conducive, just right for the person who's going to be in that environment. And number three, the interaction approach of the person facilitating or the person trying to create a positive experience. So whether it's a student or a client or a resident. So Reading2Connect started, let me share something else. Reading2Connect started with the materials. So if we're going to, oops, sorry. If we're going to bring out something or really maximize their independence and their engagement and their thinking and their language and their feelings, then let's give them reading material that they can handle on their own. The ability to read is relatively untouched by dementia, believe it or not, to some functional degree. So what we had to do was look at what do they need to read? What are the barriers to reading? Why are newspapers, magazines, and thick books no longer accessible, even though they can read? So we came up with it's not so much a formula, it's just adaptations to things like syntax, graphic layout, lineage, vocabulary, grammar, and images, the critical importance of images. So I can show you, if you'd like, a couple of pages from our books. Let's see. So let's look at the page that, so this is the page that the two women were reading in the video. You could see obviously there's lots of space on the page, lots of white. And that's because they're experienced readers. They know to slow down. So they slow down in between each sentence and take the time to really have the information sink in. You know, any adults of any age, human brains need stimulation. We need challenge. Otherwise, we just sort of die. So, but if you have dementia and you're being challenged and the stimulation is coming from spoken language, then it's just like an onslaught, and they're barely holding on to what's being said. And so it's hard for them to contemplate. But text is patient. Text is there. They can hover over it. They can reread it. They can contemplate it. And what happens? Their brain starts to become enriched and stimulated, and so important to their personal growth and development.
That's great, Susan. I can, again, think back to my experience in skilled nursing, and now I understand better why all those years we would plop a National Geographic in front of somebody sitting at a table and expect that they would be able to engage with that reading material. And come to find out about 5 minutes later, they were sleeping in their chair because their brain simply couldn't handle that. So that's the beautiful thing about this life engagement opportunity. A couple of things that I heard you say. It builds on the skill and the strength that still is remaining in people with dementia. And second, that it is a resident-led, initiated program, that it doesn't require a staff member to constantly intervene or interject themselves into the scene. And in this day and age, especially in skilled nursing, where staffing availability is somewhat limited due to a lot of reasons, not the least which being the COVID pandemic, is that it's wonderful for nursing facilities to have this resource available that they can offer to the residents, who can then independently engage in this activity. So what I want to ask you next is if you could talk about the training that goes into this, because certainly with this kind of a program, you don't want to just throw the books out there in the nursing home and expect that the staff are going to understand how to integrate it. Can you talk about how training moves forward
Sure.
when an organization is interested in?
Sure. We learned early on that the materials were not enough, that the people using them, not the end user, the resident, but the staff, the volunteers, the family members, et cetera, they really needed to acquire an approach, because it's a very generally non-traditional approach to activity programming, if you will. So in the training, we again, using the Montessori-based principles, we talk about how the facilitator or the staff, their role is not to direct the activity, not to lead it, but to work to eventually fade away assistance and eventually just supervise from a distance, maybe coming in, cueing now and then, prompting. Because as Maria Montessori says, if we spend a lot of time on the upfront, right, making the right materials, making the environment age dementia friendly, then the instructor, the role of the instructor is kind of fades away. You don't really need it. So I would like to share with you another video of a group. So people can obviously read these books alone, or they can read them in pairs, or they can read them in groups. So here's a group, and it's the group probably lasted an hour. It's 4 people on a at a table. They each have the same copy of the same book in front of them, and they actually go through 3 books. So one is a book about birds, another is a book with song lyrics, and another is trivia, specifically Bible trivia. So the trained facilitator has learned how important it is to set up residents with their consent in the way that makes it conducive, not only for them interacting with the material in front of them, but interacting with each other. And that's what we really focus on in the training, so that the staff person can fade into the background. You notice there's no seat for a staff person in one of these groups. And this enables the staff person, the job satisfaction level of people who are trained in Reading2Connect, really, that's what they report a lot, that it just warms their heart to see the residents really enjoying themselves. And every group is so different. It's organic, it's spontaneous, it's not scripted. And this helps the staff person get to know the residents better, and they feel more productive. And they feel like, I'm really making a difference in this person's day.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
The training, Susan, is online, and can you just talk a little bit about what that training looks like?
Sure. So via AGE-u-cate, there's a 3-hour online coach training. And that's when people really hear the nuts and bolts about why this material works, how it can be used, really practical applications. And how, again, to maximize the independence of the end user. That's the goal. And then there's also a practicum. So after the coaches have gone through the 3-hour online, self-directed, I think there's 10 modules in that training, then they receive a practicum where a Reading2Connect instructor comes out to the care community, and we roll up our sleeves and we present these books to the residents in their community in whatever way, modifying all the time, whatever way works for that care community and those residents. So we might set up little groups, or we might do, people may want to read alone. It's whatever they want. And so it allows the staff to really apply with the modeling and the assistance of the Reading to Connect instructor, really apply what they learned online. And in addition, they receive a device-friendly micro-learning course, which is truly the nuts and bolts with videos demonstrating the actual essential components, core elements of Reading to Connect. So this is great reinforcement, but it's also good for maybe extended staff, maybe the floor staff or volunteers or families or whomever, to be able to get kind of like a concentrated version of Reading to Connect. So it brings in multi-levels and everybody can be a part of it. And a big part of the training, of course, is that we talk about in the practicum is not just programming, not just creating reading activities, but integrating this reading into the lives of older adults in many, many ways.
So I want to bring out a point that I think is so important for really any organization that is looking to invest in a program like this, or any other program for that matter, is the sustainability of it. You don't want to just see an organization put in an order for the books and then the books sit in a box and they're never used. So the sustainability of this program is really enhanced by the number of people that become Reading to Connect coaches through the online training, the number of staff who access the 1 hour device-enabled course that, like you said, distills the key parts of it. But then it also is great because it extends beyond just the staff. Family members can tap into this resource when they're visiting their loved one. Volunteers can. So the more inclusive a program is, the better chance there's going to be of long-term sustainability. Have you seen that be the case, Susan, in these communities that you've worked with?
Absolutely. And the other thing is that we provide ongoing, personal, on-demand support as needed, for as long as they need it after training. So yeah, so that's great. And refresher courses and a subscription plan and the whole thing. So it's this usually catches fire pretty quickly. Yes, for families and visitors in the outer community, but also for prospective families. So when people are touring, and if they see this, people have told me, administrators have told me that they're touring 2 or 3 or 4 care communities, but when they see a few of them that I've heard of, when they see Reading to Connect, they're like, okay, this is good. This is what my mother wants. And I feel like the whole field doesn't really get that. They don't really get that when families are coming in and thinking of a place for their loved one, that they really on their mind is, what is my mom going to do here between meals? Like, what's she going to do all day? And is she going to make friends? Mm-hmm. And you don't really get that mom's making friends if she's in a group of 20, barely seeing and barely hearing a staff member.
Yeah, good point.
And I can show you how, like, this is a small group, and I'll show you this video, but I can also show you a video where the whole room is full. We call it the Reading Cafe.
Great.
Okay. Oh, the other thing about sustainability is that our books now, since about 1.5 years ago, are printed on washable, tear-resistant paper. Believe it or not, this is the paper that they use on submarines and ships.
And that's what you need at a nursing home. It's got to be very robust.
And I said, this isn't going to work with the pandemic. These books, and that's what people were saying, we can't use your books anymore because of infection control. So they're durable and they're washable. You can put a Clorox wipe over it, and that's really great. And so that's been and the paper's absolutely beautiful.
Yes, good. So Susan, we have about 5 more minutes to spend on skilled nursing, and then we're going to jump into talking about how the area agencies on aging
Okay.
might incorporate these books. But what I'd like you to do is to conclude the skilled nursing with maybe just a mention about the pilot project that you did in Colorado with an organization called Vivage. And they tested these books out, and you got some very good feedback from them. Would you like to share some of that feedback?
Sure. Let me pull up the, gosh, I'm so sorry. Can you see that?
What we see is kind of your laundry list of files. What I can share and what I remember about the Vivage results as you're looking is that these were mostly life enrichment staff that were involved in piloting this. And here you can see the results here that as a part of the pilot, Susan ran surveys for the staff. And there was overwhelming response regarding what the resident response was, that they liked the books and that they liked the group activities. So Susan, I'll let you fill in the blanks here.
It was a CMP project, and 6 care communities were involved, and Vivage wanted to obviously receive outcomes. So Vivage really did the work of collecting the surveys and so forth. And so 100% of the residents surveyed said they liked the Reading2Connect books. 10 out of 14 said they liked the groups. But the staff surveys showed that most of the staff, surveyed, felt that that the residents' need for assistance with the Reading2Connect books had decreased over time, so they were getting more independent.
Interesting.
They were always, pretty much all the staff said that the books elicit positive emotions from the residents. 8 out of 11 staff said that if the residents were experiencing negative emotions, the Reading2Connect books helped them feel better. And 10 out of 11 staff reported that the Reading2Connect books stimulate resident to resident interaction, which is huge. That's really a unique quality here, that really where with the whole program and the whole setup and the whole methodology, we're really bringing the residents together.
That's tremendous. And especially now as we in skilled nursing are kind of moving into, what we sometimes call COVID recovery, where, this extended isolation and quarantine situation has created a lot of negative outcomes for the residents, that it seems as though these books can help rebuild maybe some of those connections with that's so important for the well-being of older adults, to have that peer connection, and that their life isn't just simply about instrumental activities of daily living being delivered to them by the staff, but they actually have something enriching and engaging that they can do with other people. So I think the timing is really pretty extraordinary for a program like this.
Yeah, because the materials, we've worked so hard on the materials that the hard work is done now, to let people experience them and the way they want. The most loving staff or family member and the most competent caregiver is a good thing, right? Everybody deserves that, but it's still an unbalanced relationship. And an older adult knows that. Hopefully they're grateful for the care they're getting, and it's quality care and it's personalized, but it is an unbalanced relationship. And everybody needs balanced relationships in their life, some of them. So when they come together with each other, it takes on a whole new quality, this communication, because they know that this is not someone who's set to take care of them, right? It's a very different quality.
Susan, we have a good question in the chat, and I know that you have a visual for this. We have a question about how many titles are there and how many series of books. So I know you had that kind of at the ready. So,
And there are about 50, but we always have more coming down the pike. It actually takes a long time to create them, actually, because we want what we call brevity with impact. So it's really important. You know, I talked about the appearance and the syntactical and the graphic layout modifications, but most important is the content. It has to move them. It has to be of interest. It has to give them an experience. You can't just, you know, take a Wikipedia article and put it in larger font and hand it to them. They dry material, boring, they will not read it. It has to have heart and soul. And if it appears or is juvenile, then we have not done our job well at all.
Yeah, good. That's great. And then I know that when people go to the AGE-u-cate website to order these books, there are 75 books that a skilled nursing facility would receive. And my recollection is that you have 50 of those books are grouped. So you've got 10 books of one subject, 10 books of another subject, so that facilitates the group. Is that correct?
Basically, yeah, the 75 books we found is a good number for a long-term care community, because if you have too few, they will get tired of them. Everybody gets tired of them. You have to have variety. So what we have found with, again, lots of trial and error, is that 75 seems to work out well. So there's 25 single books, so all different topics. And then there's actually 5 copies of 10 books. So you have 10 sets of 5. So
yes. Oh, 10 sets of 5, right. Okay. All right.
Books. So, because if you have a group and they all have the same material, they all have the same book in front of them, that's when the magic happens. That's when the staff role is not as needed. It doesn't need to be as direct. It can be truly behind the scenes, facilitating discreetly. And these, the residents just take it from there.
Great. Okay, good. Obviously, if there's other questions about skilled nursing use of Reading2Connect, by all means, reach out. I'm going to chat my contact in the chat there, but we do need and want to move ahead to the area agencies on aging. Now, we know that the area agencies are really making an effort to reach the isolated seniors and to also focus on rural communities and get programs and services in those locations. Can you describe how Reading2Connect is and has been an effective outreach for the AAAs related to elders living in the community?
Sure, absolutely. So AAAs can use them in lots of different ways. So we'll just start at they can partner with, obviously, senior centers or adult day centers. They can do a number of things. They can create, they can go to these centers and they can create sort of a reading area where people come, clients, residents, whomever, come and just take the books on their own, and people are, on hand to help them as needed. They can set up more structured groups like we talked about, where everybody has a copy of the same book. We talk about different ways that they can do this in the training. We also offer in our packages digital books. So they're ebooks, right, that you can look at on a TV or a tablet. And That's really good for people who are homebound or can't get physically to the place. So they can show the book and everybody can go in. So it's a virtual reading group, actually. And we have had so much fun with them. I'm going to show you in one. Ta-da. Did that work?
Yes.
So this is the book. So this is an ebook. So yeah. So this happens to be a book. I like this book because it does what we want, which is, it's kind of hard to nail down, like, what is it about? It's called Sculptures on the Prairie. So it's a lot about rural life, actually, now that we're talking about rural, but it's also about trains. So people like trains, and it's about art. It comes out and, you know, becomes about art and the imposition of buildings on landscape. So that's what I mean. So that can be really, really engaging. We also provide audio book files, and these audiobooks are not your typical audiobook where somebody's just reading the text. This is somebody trained in dementia communication strategies and is speaking in a way that is really easy for older adults to listen and process. He's also, the reader also describes the pictures and things like that. So I've seen AAAs use them during caregiver support groups. So if they have a group where caregivers come and they have their support group or some kind of activities, the older adults that they're caring for can participate in a Reading2Connect activity while the care group, you know, the group is going on. Memory cafes,
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Memory cafes.
Outreach, I mean, training volunteers and design. We talk about how to design intergenerational programs, which are a huge hit, because if you think about when volunteers or children or students, they want to volunteer, they have an interest, but they often come to, in fact, I'll share a slideshow while I'm babbling away.
I think that, you know, the area agencies on aging are really, you know, making an effort to find innovative ways to offer something new and something engaging for seniors. So so here's your slideshow. So that's great. Can you explain what's going on here?
Sure. So these are in various settings: home health, so traditional homes, libraries, adult day. I'm not sure about adult day center, but and basically what we found was that if you think even before COVID, right, visitors came to you know, to visit and to interact with their loved one or as a volunteer. But sometimes those visits would go flat, right? What do they talk about? How do they keep the conversation going? And that happened, of course, during the pandemic. We talked about all these volunteers having video calls with people, but the same things happened. It was really hard to keep conversation going. But we found when you bring in an age and dementia-friendly booklet, it provides the substance. It provides the scaffolding for really good social connection, right? Nobody has to think about, you know, a lot of these people living with memory challenges, they cannot abstract. They cannot about something without some visual or concrete reference. So we found that using the books, even for virtual visits, so we train the coaches, train others to use a book during a video, during a video visit.
Yes.
Is this backwards for you guys? Can you read this, or is this backwards?
It's pretty good. No, yeah, it's the it's the right direction. What's interesting is that the area agencies could adopt this program in a couple of different ways. It sounds like to me is that somebody on the AAA staff could become the Reading2Connect coach and order books and then take those books into the various community settings, or provide those books and the training to some of their agency partners. So there's different ways to kind of go about this with the area agencies, is what I'm picking up here.
Right. And what we found is really nice is that when they bring the books to a partner, another kind of setting, the setting, whatever that may be, the memory cafe or the adult day center, or the senior center or library, they can look, they can try it out. And then you say, we want our own collection, we want our own set. How do we get this program?
Oh, interesting. Yes.
Super nice. That's good. That's
Yeah.
They feel more comfortable putting the research into this because they see it in action.
Yeah, we have a here in the area, the Barrington Area Council on Aging here in Illinois recently onboarded Reading2Connect with their adult day program, and has had wonderful response from the participants with the books. They really enjoy the books, and it has taken some of the stress off of the person who's leading the adult program, to not be the one up front entertaining and keeping keeping their clients engaged. It's, again, she's finding it to be a very self-directed, self-sustaining approach, which is which has been a wonderful new addition to their memory care program, their adult day program.
Yeah, can I share the video of the group?
Yes.
And this
Yes,
group,
that's great.
This group is in an adult day center, actually. So I don't know if a librarian got this going, or the staff, or I don't know. But here we go.
Good turn, Bob.
Bravo.
3. Number 3. Of the Cardinals.
The female northern cardinal is a unique bird. She's one of the few female birds who sings.
Yum yum. Remember the yum yum? There you go.
My bird would be surprised if they hear me read.
Okay. Goldfinches are among the strictest vegetarians in the bird.
Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way.
Oh, what a wonderful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day.
He's got a
I've got a beautiful feeling that everything's going Bob's way.
That's the end of that
That's
one.
good to be together, so. Okay. The opposite today. Ready? You can say this together. Bible trivia. As a baby, Moses was found
floating on the river Nile.
floating on the river Nile in a boat or in a basket. Moses said to the Pharaoh, let my people go.
Let people so.
I had practiced that. Didn't I?
And let people survive or something like that.
We getting better and better. Go ahead.
That's great. That's just wonderful. And incorporating music. I think that's another thing I've learned from you, Susan, that you can use these books to augment other things like special programs and music programs, or even food. Talk about how you can kind of use these to supplement different kinds of things.
Yeah, I've seen libraries do amazing things. So obviously they can have actual materials, related to the content. But I have seen, actually, I shouldn't say just libraries, skilled nursing has done a fabulous job in memory care, where they would interweave, maybe read a little bit, then look at a related video, then read a little bit, and then listen to music, and then read that kind of thing. And the books, because I work so much with life engagement people, that the books were actually made with them in mind. So like there's a book on flags for Flag Day, there's a book on Ireland for St. Pat's Day. I know that the calendar is a big part of their programming, so we wanted to give them materials to really do their jobs well.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Well, great. So let's move now into, we are right on time, which is simply amazing. Let's talk for a little bit about the home care environment, and then we're going to transition into libraries, and then we're going to wrap up and see if there's any other questions out there. So let's talk about home care. And real quick, I had an outreach this last week from a home care agency looking for a way that they can equip their caregivers who are going into the homes of older adults with tools and resources. She said, because, quote unquote, 8 hours is a long time to spend with one person. So
Really,
let's talk about that too.
we have to do better. So the practical thing about the books is they're easy to carry, right? They don't take up any space, they're light, you just take them. So some home companies have bought, I don't know, 1 or 2 sets of books and had them available for the home health aides, so or the companions, so they could come and take a few books, take them on their rounds, and bring them back. Again, the fact that they're washable is huge. Infection control. The other thing, I've seen aides like take the books and then go out into the community with the person that they're taking care of. So they can go to a park bench, they can go to a library and sit quiet. They can go to a senior center, they can go to a cafe, maybe on off hours when it's quiet and low stimulation, and just have the books to just kind of casually do something in a very meaningful, productive way where they're truly following the lead of the older adult. And again, taking the person out into the community.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, if I take Mr. So-and-so to the library, there's nothing there he can read, and he knows that, and he, it goes on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's wonderful. And then let's move right into libraries and ways that you've seen libraries incorporate this as well.
Right. So we talk about it again, really specifically in the program, because most library directors and employees do not have experience with older adults living with cognitive changes. So it's a very focused training just for them and for their setting. But once they get it, like with the they really take off. They do amazing things. So they obviously can have just the books out there, obviously, for people to check out. They can have a special time and area where they have a space where people can come with caregivers, and then the books are just available. It's very informal, very, very sociable, really, and relaxed. Then they can do the more structured groups, like the one we saw the video of. If they want to do that, if they want to pump up the structure of it, and again, bring out food and related, objects and materials. And then just in terms of outreach, it's huge. Go to senior centers or skilled nursing or memory care, and bring the books. And again, they can do whatever. They can just bring them to borrow. They can bring them to have a loose kind of like a, just a time when people are just exploring the books and chatting, or they can go into these care communities and really, have some, a structured group. I'm just going to show you one last quick video. And this is what we call the Reading Cafe. This is very hard to capture on film. So we talk about in the training. So this is where you have, I think there are 20 people in this room, but they're sort of nestled in little pods. Some of them are reading on their own, some in pairs, some in groups, some of them parallel reading. Parallel reading is when solo parallel, when they're together, but they're all reading different books just quietly on their own. This is in skilled nursing.
Here, Ed, can you read this out loud? Mrs. Daniels, want to read? No, not yet.
So there's only one staff person in this room besides the person who's filming. There's one staff, that's it. And all that chatter is, 90% of it is the residents.
Wow. Because my experience, again, in the skilled nursing world, is that the chatter is typically from the life enrichment staff member to the residents.
Right.
That it's I'm leading the activity, and moving our programming to more resident directed programming is the way that we really need to go with this.
Right, and it's no fault. I've worked again in so many different settings with activity professionals, and it's no fault of their own. They are not given the resources and the budget and materials to really incorporate ability appropriate and age appropriate materials for these people. They are given pennies, and that has got to change. That has got to change.
Yeah. Well, I think when providers realize that, like what you were saying at the beginning, when potential customers know that this is a program that is incorporated in their life enrichment, and people touring see this going on, it is going to add to the sales and the attractiveness of the community to potential customers. And there's so many other ways that you can take Reading2Connect if you are a skilled nursing community or a home care provider, and use this as a way to differentiate your community. Look what we have, look what we do. And I think every organization is looking for a way to do that, to differentiate themselves.
Oh, sure. I think the our whole field and society has completely underestimated and ignored this pearl of preserved ability that's inside these people, right? There's wonderful research on art and music and gardens and pets, animals, and all that is so important. But we need to put reading right up there with the same, the quality of life and the personal growth, personal development, the curiosity that reading stimulates for somebody is just, it's just a crime that we're not.
Yeah.
Age and dementia-friendly reading material should be in every care community.
Well, it's about dignity. At the end of it's the dignity of the individual, and minimizing somebody's capabilities because we simply don't have the resources or think we don't have the resources is just simply not going to be acceptable moving forward. We must build these programs so that somebody living with dementia has a full, productive, meaningful, engaging day. From the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. And that's just got to be our mandate in this industry. I want to be sure to mention this because it just came up in my head that Reading2Connect is a wonderful opportunity for dementia-friendly communities. And the way that each community moves through and becoming designated as dementia-friendly is different. it's driven from different agencies and from a different perspective. But Reading2Connect is a good way for communities who are looking to be dementia friendly to incorporate reading this program into their libraries and into opportunities for caregivers to bring their loved one to something like this. So I would encourage any of the AAAs out there who are a part of a dementia-friendly initiative in their communities, or if you're a nursing home and you have partnered with a community agency to move forward a dementia-friendly initiative, really think about how Reading2Connect can become a part of that. And our other AGE-u-cate programs too, as well, are very appropriate for dementia-friendly community initiatives. So we have 5 minutes left, and I want to be sure that we have an opportunity for to answer any other questions. Susan, I think you still have something though you wanted to add to that.
In terms of dementia-friendly communities, we absolutely see a place for age and dementia-friendly reading material. And so we are in the process of getting our books, offering our books, obviously in multiple languages. So they are currently in Chinese, Italian, French, and Spanish,
Yes.
and we're on others. And then also something that, I don't know, it didn't really come to me till people started reporting back that age and dementia-friendly reading material, culturally specific books, is a wonderful way to foster diversity and inclusion in whatever community you're in. Because so most of our books are kind of, or some of our books are kind of universal topics, right? Animals and sports and travel and things like that. But some of our books are culturally specific, whether it's the Japanese internment or the Holocaust or the Latin American experience. And so what facilitators are telling us is that they've wanted to bring out topics, uniquely 20th century topics, to give people a clear context for discussing some of the most profound experiences, either indirectly or directly, of their life.
How therapeutic is that?
Yeah.
That sometimes we think that we really can't go there. We can't go there with people with dementia, but that's not our call to make. And to be able to tap into those long-term memories is very therapeutic, and it's honors their humanity and their personhood.
And it's we write them very, life affirming and gentle, carefully. It's a little bit tricky. It takes some thought, and again, a lot of field testing, but also the staff really like it too.
Yeah, interesting. Think about too how these books can really help, let's just say, a nursing community or an assisted living community bridge a strong relationship with their family members. Look at this wonderful resource that we have for you here in our community to help inspire and help you have a very meaningful, productive visit with your loved one. What a wonderful touch that would be. I would think, anyway, as a family member, I would think that was pretty awesome.
Right.
I want to call out something that our own Vice President of Client Engagement, Laura Ellen, put in here. Warms my heart. What she did in her 17 years in working in the life engagement profession. No big circles, small, meaningful groups, bravo. And I want to say, Laura Ellen, that also in my experience as a nursing home administrator, I fought long and hard against those, let's move 20 people into one room or 30 people and all have them doing the same activity. It was really a hard, almost like institutional approach to programming that's really hard to break that habit. So again, Reading2Connect is a tool that can be given to staff to help move these programs into a higher place of meaning for the clients that they're serving. So, Susan, this was amazing. And I have talked to you many times in the past, and we've worked very closely together, but I always learn something new from you about these books. And I am so excited to continue and help you spread the word about the tremendous benefits that these books can have for the entire universe of elder care. To be honest with you, they can be used in any way. So thank you for joining us, Susan. And as I've said too, please reach out to us with any questions. Susan, maybe you want to also type in your contact information in the chat as well for people. I want to be sure to mention that our next virtual road trip will be in December 15th, that we're going back to Wednesdays. And this road trip is going to highlight you. And what I mean by you is AGE-u-cate customers who have our programs in their communities, in their organizations, and we want to celebrate you. We want you to share your success story of this last year and highlight you and just celebrate the work that you've done in this incredibly difficult year, second year actually, that we've all been dealing with. So if you would like to be featured as one of our highlights for our next virtual road trip, Michelle is going to put in the chat a link to a form that you can fill out and send to us to say, here's who I am. This was our success story. This was our fun story. This is what we accomplished this year. And we need to get those in, though, by the end of this week. So please celebrate yourself. Don't be afraid to share your success stories, because it lifts everybody up when you hear great, fun stories. So it is 2:01. We are 1 minute over, so I will sign off for today. Thank you for joining us. It's been great with engaging with you all, and we hope to see you in December. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
When I'm looking at the chat and I'm looking at Raymond, and I think he mentioned the reading agency. Absolutely. I'm in touch with them. I've been in touch with them for years. They are fabulous. The UK is one of the University of Liverpool, Dr. Josie Billington, unbelievable. One of the few places on the planet that is really, really pursuing this and using reading as, a way to connect with people living with cognitive changes. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Good. Yeah, thank you. Raymond, I have seen a lot of chat in here, so it's great to be engaged with you all too. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great Thanksgiving too. And we will hopefully see you in December.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.